Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Howard, and today I will be talking about tackling our nation's growing drug problem. In my first slide, I will be talking about the different kinds of drugs that cause overdoses, as well as the many issues that can arise from having drugs in our communities. As you all know, drug abuse has been a terrifying and tragic public health concern in the United States for years. This includes opioids, cocaine, benzodiazepines, methamphetamine, and alcohol. Different types of opioids can include oxycodone, morphine, hydrocodone, and heroin. Most of these drugs can be prescribed by doctors and is detrimental if abused. Unfortunately, prescribed painkillers are a leading cause of overdoses, and when unable to attain, individuals tend to turn to heroin. Cocaine is another leading cause of death when people mix it with alcohol and other drugs. Benzodiazepine are known to be similar to cocaine, whereas this drug is often included with diazepam where people abuse with alcohol or opioids, making this conjunction highly dangerous. Methamphetamine has been a major contender in overdoses related to deaths. Although we have known of law enforcement busting these labs, there is still an outlet of methamphetamine surging through the United States. Lastly, there is alcohol. Although alcohol rarely causes death when used alone, many people will drink alcohol along with 2 or more drugs. Each of these drugs are very dangerous, but unfortunately is becoming more and more common. In particular, this problem has affected people within the ages of 15 and 19 the most. According to Curtin, Tajavera, and Warner, in 2015, 772 drug overdose deaths occurred in this age group. Another statistic showed that the death rate due to drug overdose among adolescents aged 15 and 19 more than doubled from 1999 to 2007, which then declined by 26% between 2007 and 2014, and then it increased again in 2015. This epidemic has tremendously affected the community in many ways. For instance, when there are drugs in a community with people constantly buying and selling, there is bound to be larger problems. This naturally leads to major crimes including robbery, homicide, kidnapping, suicide, and more. This makes the community and surrounding neighborhoods unsafe for everyone. Another aspect would be the number of deaths that are increasing. Addiction is a major problem, and when drugs are taken and when individuals take too much, overdose can happen, which leads to death. Family members and friends then have to mourn the death of loved ones due to this tragic problem. This health issue must be addressed to control deaths and crime in the endless numbers of areas it is controlling. This statistic shows information regarding overdoses between those aged 15 and 19 within the years of 1999 and 2015. As you can see, there is a steady increase, which then drops off here and there, but then the major concern is that at 2015 to present, it has continued to rise. Here on my next slide, I will be talking about public health policies that we can implement to help with this epidemic. By implementing a public health policy would put us on the right track to decrease the number of overdoses in the United States. For instance, if law enforcement worked to crack down on the use, possession, production, and trafficking of drugs, we can control this problem. Since this epidemic has grabbed attention from local, federal, and state leaders across the country, change must be made. As stated by the National Institute of Health, healthcare reform and parity laws are providing significant opportunities and incentives to address substance misuse and related disorders more effectively in diverse healthcare settings. At the same time, many states are making changes to drug policies ranging from mandating use of prescription drug monitoring programs to eliminating mandatory minimum drug sentence. These changes represent new opportunities to create policies and practices that are more evidence-informed to address health and social problems related to substance misuse. By enacting a policy such as this will allow help to those facing drug problems so they can seek appropriate help. This policy will also promote less drug-related crime to ensure a safer community to everyone. Another important policy would be to implement guidelines to the medication used and prescribed as treatment for chronic pain. If medical employees and doctors, as well as our health department, can improve performance and technique strategies, we can control the amount of addictions. Therefore, we must step in. Although this implementation can be costly, the National Institutes of Health provided that substance misuse and substance use disorders are estimated to cost society about $442 billion each year in healthcare costs, lost productivity, and criminal justice costs. However, numerous evidence-based prevention and treatment policies and programs can be implemented to reduce the costs while improving health and wellness. Therefore, by promoting prevention and treatment programs, we will decrease the cost of healthcare treatment for those who overdosed, as well as drug-related criminal justice issues. We will be offering new aspects to help people overcome their problems and addictions. By not enacting this policy, we would be doing a disservice to those struggling, as well as avoiding the drug-related problems that have been skyrocketing over the years. If nothing were to change, the amount of overdoses and crime would continue to rise. This is our way to step in to stop this problem and provide opportunities for everyone. Since this epidemic has tremendously affected young adults between the ages of 15 and 19, they could potentially be throwing their lives away to drugs. This policy will allow them to get back on the right track for the future they deserve. They can finish school, graduate, start a career, and a family. That is why it is our duty to push this policy. My next slide will be speaking about the positive aspects of different behaviors for the legislators on voting. By us enacting a policy to give people an opportunity to fix their drug problems, we'll cure many problems in our country. Although some parties may not want to see change, but by doing this we would be helping our country be a safer one for everyone to live, with less addiction and crime. Think about the numbers of overdoses, homicides, and riots. Many of these listed events are brought on by drugs. If we guard the streets to the fullest of our ability and provide policy and places for those to seek help, it will help decrease these tragic events. Think of your families. Do you want them to grow up in a safe community? I know I do. We could certainly get the word out through social media. We are targeting people between the ages of 15 and 19, where a majority of them use social media such as Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, as well as watching TV. By talking to our local health facilities and addiction organizations, we can provide them an outlet to sell their offerings. The most important aspect I would like all of you to understand is that people are dying every day to drugs, and our streets are contaminated with crime and problems. Stopping this epidemic will save our communities and country, for that matter, from devastating heartbreak and losses. In order for us to fully sell this policy to voters, it is important to know that we are looking out for what's best in our country. Eliminating drug-related deaths, inhumane crime, and hate-related issues to this awful epidemic will create a better environment for us to raise our children. Not only will this policy add a safer community, it will be a cost-effective move in the long run. By providing addiction help, we will ultimately be eliminating criminal and detention costs, as well as treatment for those who overdose. This will help save our country for the best. Thank you. And then here are my references that I cited throughout my presentation.